Here we go, good morning, and welcome to Daf Yomi with our live virtual studio audience. Give it up, guys. Well, they are there. They're just shy and have muted themselves. Okay, we're going to be doing page 106, page Kuf Vav of Maseches Pesachim. In as much as our shiurim go on a Sunday morning, we only have a couple weeks left before we finish the Masechta. And actually, Pesachim will finish a couple of days before Pesach. So here's the plan. We are hoping to make a siyum on Masechet Pesachim at the siyum of the fast of the firstborn on Erev Pesach. So whether you're able to come to shul in person on that day, or whether you'll just tune in online, I'm very much hoping that we will be able to make the siyum together and mark it with a Kaddish, because we will have a minyan present in shul, and that should be really special. And I think, you guys have worked really, really hard sticking with me to get this far in. So that'll be really, really nice. So on Erev Pesach, we are, please God, going to make the siyum on Maseches Pesachim. And let's get underway then, shall we? With Daf Kuf Vav, page 106, getting it up on the screen now. And we have been talking about the first Mishnah in the 10th chapter, but we already started that last week, if you recall. So it's still going, the conversation and topics that come up in this stuff. So we don't need to go back and talk about last week's Mishnah, because we all remember it. But there have been conversations and topics and sugyas about Kiddush on Shabbos, and that's where the daf picks up today, talking about the question of making Kiddush during the day on Shabbos, making Kiddush on Friday night, and that is the context where today's Gemara, today's daf, picks up. So we are, if you're following inside, we are about 8 lines down in the middle of the line with the letters Taf Resh, which stand for Tanu Rabbanan. The sages come and teach. Tanu Rabbanan. The verse says in Shemos, chapter 20, verse 8, Zachor es Yom HaShabbos L'Kadsho. Was that yesterday? Is that chapter 20 is in Kitisa? Probably. I say that with such little certainty, isn't it sad? Let's just quickly see that. Where are we? Tanakh, Exodus, Parsha, Kitisa. Is it going to be chapter 20? Oh, it's chapter 30. No, it's a couple of weeks ago. So, Tanakh, Zachor es Yom HaShabbos L'Kadsho. Remember the day of Shabbos to sanctify it. From which the Gemara learns, Zachrehu al Hayayin, that we are to remember it using wine, meaning that we make Kiddush, and thereby we fulfill this this imperative to remember that it is Shabbos. Oh, it's from the Ten Commandments. Ainli ela bayom. So when I look at this verse, Zachor es Yom HaShabbos, right? Remember the day of Shabbos. So here I can see that I have a mitzvah to say Kiddush during the day, because it says Yom HaShabbos, right? Gemara asks though, Balayla minayin. From where do I know that I also have to say Kiddush in the nighttime? To which the Gemara answers, Talmud Lomar, the very same verse. Zachor es Yom HaShabbos L'Kadsho. We learn it from the verse. Zachor es Yom HaShabbos L'Kadsho. Remember the day of Shabbos to sanctify it, right? Which, as you can see, as it explains on the screen there, indicates that one should also remember Shabbos as soon as it is sanctified. When is it sanctified? Well, as soon as Shabbos starts, in the evening, in the nighttime. Gemara asks, Balayla minayin? You're asking, where do we know that the mitzvah to say Kiddush is at night? Where do we know that from? Adrabah. On the contrary, my friend, Ika Kiddusha Balayla hu Kaddish. The main time to say Kiddush is in the night time, because we have to sanctify the day from the beginning of the day, and that is the night time. So the question shouldn't be, oh, well, I know it for the day, so where do I know the night from? It should be the opposite. We know the night time because we have a mitzvah of Zachoros, Yom Shabbos, and Kasha, and then we should be asking, how do we know that you have to do it in the daytime as well? Continues the Gemara, Vasu Balayla Minayin. Furthermore, the Gemara asks, Balayla Minayin, this question of how do we know that we have to make Kiddush at night? Talmud Loma Zachoros Yom, to which the Gemara answers that the verse says, Zachoros Yom, remember the day of Shabbos. Tana Mehada Alayla, the Kanasiv Le Karadi Mama, that we, what we're trying to seek proof for over here, the Tana is trying to seek proof for making Kiddush at night, and yet the verse that we bring seems to indicate the day. Hachi Ka'amar, so this is what it's coming to say as we scroll down just a little bit. Zachor es Yom HaShabbos l'kadsho, that when the verse says that you remember the Sabbath day to sanctify it, Zochreu ala yayin b'knisaso. So this teaches us that we have to remember it using wine at the beginning of the day, when the day is entering. When is that? In the nighttime. Einli ela balayla. So now I only know that I have to say Kiddush at night. Bayom minayin. Where is the source to say that I should be saying Kiddush in the daytime as well? To which the Gemara answers, Talmud Loma comes to teach Zachores Yom HaShabbos, that you have to remember it on the day of Shabbos as well. And the emphasis of the word day indicates to us that we also say it on the day. So the Zachor, the remembrance, has to happen when the Sabbath starts, which is in the nighttime. How do we know that we also have to do it in the daytime? Because it's Zachor es Yom HaShabbos. So we also have to remember it when it is Yom. Now the Gemara asks the following question. Bayom, my mavarich. What do we say when we are making Kiddush at night? In the daytime, right? When we make Kiddush at night, we have a whole long passage. Vayhir, Vayvoke, Yom HaShishi, etc., etc., and a whole long bracha. So when you're making Kiddush in the daytime, what are you supposed to say? What's the formula? Amar Rav Yehuda. Rav Yehuda says, Borei Peri Hagafen. All you need to say is the bracha over the wine of Borei Peri Hagafen. And that's all, that's the entire formula. Now, even though we have since then inserted the Shamu B'nai Yisrael, Lesach Shabbos, and then the verses of Zachar, Yom HaShabbos, L'Kadsho, Sheish Yom Tavod Vasi Tzakam L'Achtecha, etc., etc. Fundamentally, Rav Yehuda is saying that all you need to do to fulfill the mitzvah of Kiddush in the day of Shabbos is to make the bracha over the wine, Borei Pri Hagafen. So we have an interesting story over here. Rav Ashi, story about Rav Ashi. Rav Ashi Ikla Mechuzah. He was visiting Mechuzah, which was a city or a town in Babylonia. Amrulei, he was there over Shabbos, and they said to him, Likadish Lanmar Kiddush Rabbah. They gave him the honor. Got the visiting rabbi, the scholar of residence. Please, will you come and make Kiddush for everyone? But they didn't just say, will you make Kiddush for everyone? They called it Kiddusha Rabbah, the great Kiddush. So they asked him to come and make Kiddusha Rabbah, the great Kiddush, on behalf of the community. Havulei, Havulei, they brought him wine to be able to do it. But he was a little bit confused. Savar, he thought to himself, Maini Kiddusha Rabbah, what's this Kiddusha Rabbah that they speak of? It sounds like there's a whole big elaborate prayer or ceremony, because we're calling it the Great Kiddush. We don't call Friday night Kiddusha Rabbah. We just call that Kiddush. What's this Kiddusha Rabbah? It sounds so much more elaborate than what I would have been what I would have been expecting to say. So he's feeling all of this pressure. The city of Mechuzah are sitting there waiting for him to make this Kiddusha Rabbah, and he's thinking to himself, gosh, I'm not sure what they're expecting here. They're expecting me to sing something, expecting me to reel off a whole prayer. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. So Omar, he said to himself, Michti, let's see. Kol habrachos kulam, Borei Pri Hagafen, Amri Bereisha, Omar, one second. Okay, so yeah. So, Kol brachos kulam borei pri hagafen amri bereisha. So when it comes to the bracha over the wine, we always have to say borei pri hagafen. So I'll start with that first. So Amar borei pri hagafen. So he said the bracha of borei pri hagafen. He's holding the cup. He's looking around, thinking, are they waiting for him to do more, or are they going to start drinking? If they start drinking, I know that I've done what I call kiddush. If they sit there going like, then I'll worry about that then, and I'll start winging some verses. So Omar Bari Priyagafin for Agidbe, he made the bracha on the wine, and then he waited a moment. He delayed. He waited to see what would happen. And he saw that an older man was bending over to start drinking. So So he said about himself, he applied the verse of the wise man, his eyes are in his head, meaning that he was clever enough to get through this embarrassing situation. So why is it called Kiddush Rabbah? It seems that it's just a bit of a euphemism, and that this title of Kiddush Rabbah, implying that it's got this elaborate ceremony attached to it, that's just to kind of lift up the importance of Kiddush during the day, even though it's fundamentally fulfilled with just saying the bracha. So it seems that we give it this nickname of Kiddush Rabbah just to kind of raise its status a little bit. But that was the episode. Rav Ashi wasn't sure what he was supposed to do, so he went with the flow. He made the bracha. He saw that people were starting to drink, and then he realized, okay, so he has figured it out and cracked the password. Continuing with the Gemara, Amri b'nei Rabbi Chia, the sons of Rabbi Chia say, Mi shelo hivdil b'motzoi Shabbos mavdil v'halech b'chol Shabbos kola. If someone did not make Havdalah on Motzei Shabbos, on Saturday night, he has the whole week to be able to still say Havdalah. Va'ad kama. Really, how much is this? Does he have the entire week, right? Till Friday afternoon, you could still say Havdalah for the previous week. So Amar Rabbi Zera says, Ad Revi b'Shabbos. He has until Wednesday to be able to make Havdalah for the previous week. And this is a famous little teaching statement that we're going to see now. So if you hadn't known where this idea came from before, this is where it's presented in the Gemara as well. Rabbi Zera coming to Rav Asi, because when Rabbi Zera was sitting before Rav Asi, Va'amri la Rav Asi coming to Rabbi Yochanan, and some say it was Rav Asi sitting before Rabbi Yochanan, the Yasif Ka'amar, and he was sitting and saying, Le'inyan Gittin, when it comes to giving a get and phrasing the wording of a get, Chada b'Shabasa, Trei uslasa basa Shabasa. When it comes to Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, these 3 days are all considered to be after the previous Shabbos. Arba v'chamisha malayome kamish Shabbasa. And Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday are considered to be the 3 days before Shabbos. So this idea being that Shabbos is actually the beginning or the centerpiece of the week, and it permeates in each direction. So the 3 days before Shabbos are tied into that Shabbos, and the 3 days afterwards are linked in still to that Shabbos. So the not radiation, but the spiritual radiation, the spiritual forces of a Shabbos extend 3 days before and 3 days after. So Amar Rabbi Yaakov Bar Idi. Rabbi Yaakov Bar Idi says, so just going back to the fact that with a get, with regards to a divorce document, the first 3 days of the week are still tied to that previous Shabbos. That is why the halacha for Havdalah is that you have those 3 days after Shabbos to be able to still make Havdalah. But, says Amar Rabbi Yaakov Bar Idi, Rabbi Yaakov Bar Idi says, Aval lo al ha'ur. But if you are making Havdalah on a Sunday, a Monday, or a Tuesday, you don't say the bracha on the Havdalah candle. Why? Because fire was created on Motzei Shabbos, and so the fact that we light the candle on Shabbos and make a bracha on the candle on Motzei Shabbos is tied into that fact. But afterwards, you would just say the bracha on the wine and the bracha on the spices. Amar Rav Baruna Amar Rav. As we turn the page, Rav Baruna Amar Rav says, Hanotel Yadav Lo Yikadesh. Now, going back to Kiddush over here, what happens if a person washes his hands for Hamotzi before making Kiddush? So, our first opinion says, this is going to be a source of dispute. Rav Baruna, quoting Rav, said that if you wash your hands before making Kiddush, then you now can't say Kiddush because you are going to create an interruption before washing and eating bread. So the resolution is that you should hear Kiddush from somebody else, but you should not make Kiddush because you have now washed your hands waiting to be able to eat bread. Amalahu Rav Yitzchak bar Shmuel bar Marta. Rav Yitzchak bar Shmuel bar Marta said to him, Akasi lo nach nafshe de Rav shechaninahu nishmai to say. No sooner has Rav, no, he hasn't passed away yet. Oh, he has passed away. So no sooner has Rav passed away, and you've already forgotten his rulings, meaning that he has obviously made a mistake, and this is not Rav's opinion. Zimnin sagi'in havakaim nakamei de Rav. Sometimes I stood before Rav, and when it was time for a Shabbos meal, Zimnin de chaviva alei rifta mekadesh rifta. Sometimes he wanted to be able to eat bread, and so he would make Kiddush on bread, right? Meaning that he has obviously washed his hands and then made Kiddush. And Zimnin de chaviva alei chamra mekadesh chamra. And sometimes he wanted to make Kiddush over wine, so he made Kiddush over wine. But the point is that obviously Kiddush is not an interruption between washing hands and eating bread. So clearly there was a mistake there on Rav Baruna's part, erroneously quoting Rav's opinion. Amar Rav Huna, Amar Rav. Rav Huna said, quoting Rav, Ta'am eino mekadesh. A person who has tasted any food before making Kiddush now cannot make Kiddush anymore. Rather, you just have to make Kiddush the following day. You've lost out on your opportunity because you've eaten before Kiddush. So Rav Chana bar Chinna asked Rav Huna, Ta'am ma'ushi avdil? What is the situation? What's the halacha with regards to Havdalah? If you've eaten something on Saturday night before making Havdalah, can you still say Havdalah on Saturday night, or do you now have to wait till the following day? Amalei, he said, Ani Omer, Tam Mavdil. I say, if you've tasted something, then you can say Havdalah still on Saturday night. Ravasi Omar, Tam Eino Mavdil. Ravasi says that if you've tasted something on Saturday night before making Havdalah, then you can't say Havdalah anymore. Rav Yomi bar Abba, Ikla Lebei Ravasi. So Rav Yomi bar Abba visited the home of Ravasi. Am I in the right place? No, we need to scroll down. Ishtli v'tayim midi. He forgot what he was supposed to do, and he had some food after Shabbos and hadn't made Havdalah yet. But what happened was that Ravasi said, Havulei kasava avdil. And then maybe Rav Yirmiyah tasted it. So let me try that one again. So I think Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba has tasted something before making Havdalah. Havulei kasava avdil. They brought him a kos, they brought him a cup to be able to make Havdalah, and he did so. I know this is Ravasi. So Amrulei Debishu, his wife said to him, V'hamar lo avid hachi. No. Let's backtrack. Rav Yirmiyah has said Havdalah, even though he's tasted something. Rav Asi's wife has gone to him and said, V'hamar lo avid hachi. You don't act like this. My master doesn't act like this. Amar lei. So Rav Asi said back to her wife, Shavke, leave him alone. It's okay. Karabe svirale. He holds like his rabbi. And his rabbi was Rav. So clearly he was holding like Rav and making Havdalah, even though he had tasted something, even though Rav Asi would not do this. And this is what we were saying before, right? So before we had the question for Rav Chanana asking Rav Huna, what's the halacha if you've tasted something? He said, I will still make Havdalah. And Rav Asi says, he wouldn't make Havdalah. And the evidence for that was the fact that this story came where the guy made Havdalah after having tasted something. His wife picked her husband up on it, and she said, it's okay. He clearly holds like Rav, and I hold differently. Amar Rav Yosef Amar Shmuel. Rav Yosef said, quoting Shmuel, Ta'am eino mekadesh, ta'am eino mabdil. If you taste something before Kiddush, then Shmuel would say, you can't make Kiddush. And if you taste something before Havdalah, you can't make Havdalah. Rabba Amar Rav Nachman Amar Shmuel. Rabba quoting Rav Nachman, quoting Shmuel. Ta'am Mekadesh, the Ta'am Mavdil. If you taste something before Kiddush, you can still make Kiddush. And if you taste something before Havdalah, you can still make Havdalah. So Amar Rabba, Rabba says, Hilchusa, the halacha is Ta'am Mekadesh, the Ta'am Mavdil. If you eat something before making Kiddush, you can still make Kiddush on Friday night. And if you taste something before making Havdalah, you can still make Havdalah on Saturday night. But if someone missed the whole of Friday night, let's say they were not well and they were just not up for making Kiddush on Friday night, or they fell asleep, whatever it might be, or they were called away and did not have a way of making Kiddush Friday night, then he says, Mekadesh v'holech kol hayom kulo ad Motzei Shabbos. Then a person has the whole of Shabbos day to be able to still make Kiddush. Misha lo hivdil b'Motzei Shabbos. If the person doesn't get the opportunity to say Havdalah on Saturday night, Mavdil v'holech kol Shabbos kula, then a person has the whole week, at least until Wednesday, to be able to make Havdalah. And that concludes today's daf. As I said, it's only a short one. So that's all we've got for today. So I wish everybody a wonderful and meaningful day, and we'll see you all next week on daf.